How's it going, YouTube? This is TrainerJI, and today we have something a little bit different here. Everybody's been asking to show off some stuff from my collection for pretty much the entirety of the year here since I started this. So I figured for Christmas, I'll give you a little gift. We'll do a little walkthrough. I picked 10 cards that kind of just struck me as, I don't know if I want to say it, just not even just importance. Like, I really can't describe it. Just they struck me when I was going through them in the safe, and I figured these would be 10 good ones to go over, what they are, what I paid, what they're probably worth, and most of them have some sort of story behind them. So, I'm great at rambling, so we should do good with the stories, and we hoping not to have to change this into an hour video, or make this into an hour video, but we'll see. It's 2 o'clock Christmas morning, so Merry Christmas, anyone that celebrates it. Happy holidays, anyone that doesn't. Yeah, again, this is a little bit different for me. It's not like any sort of format or thing that I've done before, so we're just going to kind of cruise through it, talk about it, and yeah, see what happens here. So, I picked 10 cards, like I said, and there's no real rhyme or reason in what I picked. It's just kind of like, again, stuff that just stuck out to me for one reason or another, and maybe like just the story behind it, and just this feels like a collecting journey in my opinion for what I'm showing off here. So we're gonna start off. We got Aoyama's Pikachu here from vending. This is from the expansion sheet 3. They had a whole bunch of like random like hand-drawn cards that were kind of strange on that sheet. Like spoofy cards, like for instance, and I did pull this stuff up. Don't think I know a lot of this stuff offhand. Just I wanted to be able to get some information on stuff too. The attacks are: greetings, be polite, but attack when your opponent is in an unguarded moment. Not exactly sure what that means, but the other attack for 2 energy is fake sleep. Pretend to be asleep, but attack when your opponent is in an unguarded moment. Sneaky of you, in parentheses. So, it's just a very obscure card. It's probably one of my favorite Pikachu cards. You got Weedle hanging out here in the background all alone. Has definitely some Tropical Mega Battle vibes to me. Like, I think it's this sun up here. I don't know if that's like from Lucky Stadium, but it just has an overall cool vibe to me. Like, I like the whole design. I like the oblong borders. I like, again, the hand-drawnness, but like finished quality of it because it was actually printed. I don't know. Everything about this card to me, I absolutely love it. So the story behind this one, this isn't the actual copy, but back when I started collecting again, the big thing that I would do and that I really enjoyed was buying lots. And like back in 2014, 15, 16, I mean, you could buy binder lots with just random goodies in them all the time from people like on eBay. There's stuff just was everywhere. And I was doing this all the time because like it was just fun. Like, it's fun to see a few pictures of back then when people didn't know that like everything was worth anything, like just this random bulk lot of cards with all this stuff in it with a few pictures of hints here and there what you were going to get, and then you'd get it, go through it, and it would just, I don't know, it'd be an awesome time. Like, I absolutely love that. I miss being able to do that. I mean, yeah, sure, you could probably still do it now, but most stuff people know what's in it, and it's picked through, and it's super expensive. Back then, I was buying lots for like under $100. I mean, I have a tote of binders in my basement from when I would get a lot, and most people would have it in their own binders. But yeah, anyway, it was just an absolute blast. I love doing it. That's how I bought most of the stuff that I used to build my English sets. However, I bought a lot from some guy. I believe he was telling me he was either going off to the military or he had just gotten home, and he was selling his collection, and it was an awesome collection. It had some gold stars that he showed off in it. Just a bunch of just random stuff, and there were Japanese cards in it. At the time, I didn't collect Japanese, but they're just random stuff here and there, and it was just odd, especially for that time, for somebody to have in their English collection, quote unquote, because most of the stuff he had was English. So he ended up contacting me on Facebook. I actually think I might still be friends with him on Facebook. I'd have to look, but we made a deal. We came to an agreement, and I think for the lot, at the time, I paid like $700, $800. And there were a couple gold stars in it, a ton of like other stuff, hollows, all that kind of good stuff English-wise. But in it, he randomly had this Aoyama's Pikachu from vending. And I had never seen anything like it before at the time. I had no idea it existed. And it just caught me off guard. And I was like, dude, like, this is so cool. Like, what is this? And this was what kind of started part of my interest in Japanese cards. It was like one of those moments you're like, oh my God, like, what is this? They never released this in English. Like, is this a fake card? Is this like non-TCG? Like, what is this exactly? So for me, it was like just such a cool experience. And this guy, like I said, just randomly had this in his collection. And also, he had a bunch of other language stuff. The one notable one that I still have in a box somewhere is a German Magikarp, Shining Magikarp. Was it like Shining Carpador or something like that is the name? It's in a box somewhere. I should probably pull that out and get that graded. But I thought it was just so cool. Like, this guy just has this random assortment of other language cards. Like, and to this day, like, I still don't know where he would have gotten them. Especially, like, I mean, this is weird to have, let alone, like, but the Shining Magikarp in German, I mean, that's super strange to have in a collection. So, I don't know, just a lot of obscure stuff, a lot of, like, other language stuff, just a good variety, fun variety of stuff. I think one of the gold stars, because at the time I had an extra, it was a Suicune, and I graded it, either graded like an 8 or a 9, so I thought that was pretty cool. But, yeah. So, realistically, like, this was kind of like my intro to, like, super obscure Japanese cards. And it was, like, one of those moments where I'm, like, at the time, I was like, oh, my God, like, if this is a set, can you imagine if Aoyama would have done a set like this? Oh, my gosh, dude. Like, people would absolutely eat this up. Like, this would be one of those sets that if there was a full set that looked like this hand-drawn idea, I probably would have tried to collect a 10 set of it just because I think it's just so cool. But yeah, so for me, like, this being in my collection, it has a little bit of history with me. It's not this exact copy. That copy ended up grading a 4. I sold that a while back. It didn't mean anything to me in sense of that actual copy. It more so what it meant for me in my journey collecting Japanese stuff. And just, again, like, this card is just too cool. If anybody that's watching's never seen this before, hopefully this is one of those moments that you're like, oh man, that's so cool. Maybe you'll run out and grab a copy of this. But for those of you who have seen it, I'm sure most people do enjoy this type of thing. But yeah, I mean, they just, again, this for me is a real cool card to have in the collection. I guess I did say payment wise what I paid. I think I ended up paying like $300 or $400 for this. I could be wrong. Value wise, I think these go for like $700, $800, maybe a little more, maybe less. I haven't sold one of these in a while just because I haven't picked any raw copies up since they really went up in price. But yeah, so basically probably on the up on this one. But again, it really doesn't matter to me because this is in the collection. So there's number 1. We're about 8 minutes in, so with 10 to go, that really doesn't bode well. So I'm going to take a sip of my drink, and we're going to go into the next one. My plan is to, get off here and pretty much jump into bed is after this. Brush the teeth, let the dog out, feed him quick, brush the teeth, and off to bed. So next up on the list here, I guess you're probably going to see a lot of kind of really obscure stuff here. I mean, I think this is kind of like my wheelhouse as far as collecting stuff that I actually really enjoy. As weird as it sounds, like, I like strange cards. So this is from the Scramble set in English. It's Pokemon Rumble, or Melee Scramble in Japanese. And you can tell these have been in my collection for a while because these are 4 certs. This is stuff that I would have graded myself. This one, maybe not so much. I think I bought this graded. I don't think I graded this one myself. I did buy this graded, but it obviously would have been a while ago. But anyway, this is from the, again, Melee Scramble in Japanese, and in English, it's Rumble. It's actually like a game. I've never played it, but the reason this one's in here is because I remember when I was trying to complete my English stuff, I had gotten an English copy of something from this set. I can't remember what card, but it like kind of was like, whoa, like what is this? Like this is really weird. So I dove into it and realized that there was the box set, which you basically get like a box. It comes with the dice, the cards. It was super cool. And at the time, they were really cheap, and I wanted a set because I was trying to collect everything in English. So I bought a box set, and I put the English cards in my box set, which I still probably have that set somewhere. I have multiple sets, actually. I'm keeping one so that I can play the game if I ever want to play the game. But it was one of those moments where I was like, dude, this is so weird. Like, this is such a strange release. Like, it's so odd. Like, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't know what Pokemon Rumble is. Like, there's a game called Pokemon Rumble, but, I mean, we can take a look at the Venusaur here. It's like this blocky art. What is it? Ronzin Pokemon Scramble. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's just CGI, like, trash. Like, it's just, like, little sprites. But we got Dratini in this one, and there's usually other Pokemon in the other ones as well. Venusaur being one of my favorite Pokemon. I had to keep the Venusaur in 10 after I graded it. I had a lot of them in 10 at one point, and then basically what I decided to do was keep these in a binder form. So I picked up a full set of Japanese, minus what we'll get into next, but a full set of Japanese, and I have them in a binder, and I'm probably going to keep like an English set right next to them as well, since they're all lined up in the way that they're numbered. But there are, in Japanese, a set of 3 super rare ones. You can check them out. Pachirisu, Krogunk, and Eevee. Basically, it was like a Daisuke Club lottery thing. Of course, only in Japanese was this a thing. There were 100 sets of these 3 cards distributed. I don't remember if it was like, I'm pretty sure it was a lottery. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. But these cards, those are like $4,000 or $5,000 cards, like $6,000, $7,000. The Eevee's probably the most expensive. I do kind of want to complete that set because it is part of the numbered set in Japanese. I might buy them at some point. At the very least, I do probably want to own the Eevee at some point. That'd be a nice collection edition. But I mean, the price tag at this point, it's not that I can't afford it. It's just that it's just not something I want to go out and it'll take the right time and place for me to pick something like that up. But yeah, so basically, like, this was a game in both English and Japanese. In English, it was called Rumble. In Japanese, it was called Scramble or Melee Scramble. And I don't know how the game works, to be completely honest with you. I know there's like damage counters. Like, I don't think it's a very complicated game. Again, I should probably get it out and play it. Maybe I'll do like a little demo or something on that at some point down the line, since I do have all the contents of the box set that I bought. But again, for me, this is just something super obscure. It was a moment where I saw it, picked it up. I absolutely love Rumble and Scramble. Again, complete binder sets. I have this in 10 in my collection. It just, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what it is that I enjoy so much, but I just like weird stuff like this. So, payment wise, I probably bought this. I graded this one myself. I know 100%. At the time, I was probably buying these for like 30 or 40 bucks a piece, which they're pretty expensive to buy raw copies of this stuff. And I mean, 10 copies of stuff sell pretty expensive as well. But I would say Venusaur's probably worth $500 PSA 10. I mean, again, I'm not looking these up. I'm just going off of based on what I feel is probably the right answer. I could be completely off, but that's my guesstimate. But yeah, I mean, again, it really doesn't matter what they're worth because they're in my collection at this point. All right. We cut that one down to 6 minutes, so a little bit shorter. Next up, and I'm sorry, I really need to figure out I need a camera arm. I think Pokemon Steven the other day, he was talking to me and recommended something. I think it was like, I want to say like Elgato arms or something like that, but I need to look into that. I really need to invest in that. I should pick that up before the end of the year as a tax write-off, to be honest with you. But next up, we have a Mankey PSA 10 from Nakaake series. This was like the title is of like, they were books and there were volumes, and this one, obviously volume 1, it was How I Became a Pokemon card, and it was basically like a little manga that was created by Himeno, Kagamaru Himeno. I mean, if you don't know who Himeno is, definitely one of the most prolific artists in the hobby. I mean, if you look up any of their art, it's kind of tough to find a Himeno artwork you don't like. But I think this was like, yeah, so volume 1, this would have started in 99, and they released this series, and it would have basically been like a whole little books series, like drawn stuff, all by Himeno, which is super cool. I actually should get some volume, like all 6 volumes to add to my collection, because I do have a full Nakaake set in my collection. Not all 10s, but I think most of them are 10s. But anyway, the card was included with each book. So volume 1, you would have got this, and then I guess in each book there would have been a special page where this artwork would have been displayed, and then they would have went over like basically what the Pokemon's doing in the picture, and like what the motivation and the idea behind it was. I don't exactly know everything about it, because I haven't ever seen them in my hand. I've seen them on pictures, but for me, like, this was like a moment when, number one, I graded this in 10. I was buying up Nakaake stuff all the time, but I graded this in 10, and this was super tough to grade at the time. I remember this was like lower than Pop 10 in PSA 10. It's just such a cool artwork. I mean, Mankey's just chilling. It's got the cool little stamp down here for this series. You got the 2 scared Mankeys, and then this Mankey's, he's going for it. He's taking the apples. There is a card that kind of links with this, and I remember seeing it and thinking about it, and then forgot about it and didn't jot it down on a note or something to like investigate it. But there is a card out there that kind of links up with this. I do have to check it out at some point, but I don't know. This is easily, at least in my personal opinion, the coolest Mankey card that exists. Mankey's not my favorite Pokemon. I definitely don't I'm not like a Mankey aficionado, but for me, like, this artwork, like everything about it, I don't know. This is just a sick card. Like, this is a beautiful card. Absolutely beautiful card. I was fortunate enough to be able to grade a copy in 10. Everything about it for me personally, like, this is when I discovered Himeno. This was discovering Nakaake when I first got these. I don't know. It's just kind of like a piece of the puzzle that led me to kind of where I am now. So, yeah. Moving on. Next up, this is a really cool one. Hands down, in my probably top 5. Sometimes I even say, like, this is my favorite card that exists, and it's even in my collection. It goes either way sometimes. Like, I absolutely love this card. So we have the fan Club Porygon here, PSA 10. I guess I didn't say value on this. Value, I probably bought this for like $6 back in the day, and that's when bulk grading was like $7. So we probably got like $13 to $15 into this, and I don't know what a 10 of this would sell for these days. I would say bare minimum probably $300-$400, maybe $500-$600. And at one point I know they were selling for like over $1,000. So, you take that with a grain of salt, but that's about where we're at on that one. But anyway, this card for me is like the definition. Like, honestly, I think the word nostalgia is overused. I think like people are like, oh, it's the nostalgia. Like, they just say nostalgia because everyone else is saying it, and they like, not everything is nostalgia, okay? Like, not everything is nostalgia. However, for me personally, this is nostalgia. To me, what nostalgia is every once in a while when you get lucky, in my opinion, it's lucky. Like, maybe some other people experience this differently. You look at something or an item, or you have a memory or a smell or something that for a moment, and it could just be a brief split second, takes you back to that exact moment when you remembered that certain thing, and it makes you feel like you were there in that moment when you were originally in that moment. The vibe, the feel of like when you were a little kid, and for me, the nostalgia with this, when I was younger and I played the original games on Game Boy, the way you got Porygon was you played the slots, which We'll do the zoom in here, but you can see the slot machines behind him. He's in the arcade. But you would play the slots. Ooh. That's on the... Is that part of his face? Oh, yeah, it's on the case. We got worried there for a sec. But anyway, you would get Porygon from playing the slots in the arcade. And I always loved playing the slots. I still love... I don't gamble at all. I don't do any of that stuff. Occasionally, on rare occasions, I'll get a lottery ticket, maybe like once every couple of years. Occasionally, if somebody's going to the casino, I'll go to the casino and I'll bet like $100, call it a day after I lose that. But I always like gambling in games and like slot machines. Like I remember like playing Borderlands, the original Borderlands when it came out. I lived to play those slots to get the like orange tier, gold tier guns, whatever they were, like all that kind of stuff. I like when there's an in-game game that you can go out and earn like a currency for to like bet to potentially win prizes. So for me, when I was younger, I spent a ton of time in the arcade to get the TMs, to get Porygon, to get everything basically. Because I mean, you could get like think back in the day, it was like Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, and Ice Beam. And that was like huge. Like you were like, dude, if I have a Pokemon that can learn those moves, like I want them to learn those moves. So I would spend hours in there. And I remember on one specific night, and I don't know if this is like some sort of hack or something, or not a hack, because obviously back then, I don't know if this was like some sort of method that was pretty standard that everybody used back then, but I remember one time, and I'd only ever had me one time, I got into a groove where I was clicking A at the same exact moment repetitively, no joke, for about an hour straight. And I was hitting the jackpot every single time. So it was based on timing. It was like, like, and it was crazy. So I was winning. So like, to me, I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep doing this until like, until I stop winning. And I'm like, oh, like I'm continuing to win. Like, this is insane. This is insane. And I remember laying in bed. It was nighttime. I had an old school, like, flip top over my Game Boy that had a magnifying glass and a light on it. And just for an hour, don't get me wrong, that thing probably messed my eyes up now that I'm thinking about it, because that was so bad for your eyes. But for an hour straight I did this, and I can never do it again. I could get in like some mini grooves where I could get it to roll jackpot like probably like 4 or 5 times in a row, but never on that continuous like line like I did that one time. And again, maybe it was a glitch. Maybe there's some sort of hack that I've never looked up that you're able to do that. It's just simple timing. I know a lot of games, they have that kind of simplicity to it where it's just simple timing. I don't know if that's how Pokemon was, but for me, like, that was, like, so cool. Like, I remember, you gotta think, like, I was probably, I don't know, like, 9, 10 years old, like, just laying in bed at night. I was probably supposed to be in bed. It was probably, like, a school night or something, and I just turned it on. And just sitting there, like, and it was just such a cool feeling. I'm like, oh, my God, like, I can get the Porygon now. I can get all the TMs I want. Like, this is so cool. Like, I don't know. It was just one of those moments where it just felt great in a game. So, for me, when I look at this card, not only do I think it's a beautiful card, the fact that it's just, it's a rare promo. This is, easily the rarest Porygon card that exists for sure, I would have to say. I don't think anything else exists that comes close to this. Yeah, I don't know. It's just everything about it. The slots in the background, the colors. And for me at the time when I bought this, I remember seeing it and being like, because it kind of like far away, you can't really tell like what's going on. You kind of just think it's colors. And then when you zoom in, you're like, oh man, like we got slot machines back here. Like, oh my gosh, like this is like paying homage to the original game, like the way you would get Porygon. Like, oh my God, this is so cool. But I remember figuring that out and then wanting this card so bad. But realizing even back then that it was expensive. You can see this is a 2-cert. At the time, I remember buying this, and I remember vividly because at the time I was working and I had an employee, and he was in my office with me, and I'm like, dude, I think I'm about to do something really stupid, but I really want this. And he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like, I did it. And I printed out the receipt for like, so I would have it. And I just showed him, he's like, dude, you're an idiot. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, you just spent that much money on a card. And at that time, like, that was the most, I bought it for, I think I got it from somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where, but I think with conversion, because at the time it was very lopsided, I think I want to say I paid like $800 or $900 for this. And that was like 2016-ish, somewhere around there, 2017. So that was kind of like a big deal. And that was the most I'd ever spent on a card before. So I was like, oh my God, like this is so crazy. And I remember getting it in the mail and just like sitting there staring at it for like the longest time. So it's just, for me, like this card, everything, like everything about this, from the story of like how like this is nostalgic for me, the card, the artwork, you know, buying it, like just everything about this for me, like this is one of my favorite pieces that's in my collection, hands down. So I don't know, when I saw this one, I immediately had to throw this one into the pile. Now I do have a display case that I didn't touch. There are cards in there that I would probably have picked out, but just going through my save, because I didn't want to mess up the display, this is the stuff that I picked out. But yeah, I don't know. It gets me excited even looking at this, just because, again, I absolutely love this card. It's just too good. And it's cool, too, because like it just gives me a moment to really sit and appreciate these, because some of these, my goal at some point is to have everything that I like have in my collection that's graded on display. Obviously you can't really have a binder on display, but it's ready to display at any time. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is cool. Cool. Gonna set it aside before I stare at it forever. We're gonna take another drink because we're almost at half hour here. I do need to speed it up because I do need to get to bed soon. Tomorrow is Christmas. I'm excited. I'll be uploading this tomorrow on Christmas morning. I'll upload it tonight, but make it live tomorrow, Christmas morning. But yeah, tomorrow is like my kid's it's only his third Christmas. I'm excited for that. So really, I probably won't be doing too much tomorrow as far as videos, cards, anything like that goes. But I did want to record this the night before just because I felt it appropriate. I felt everybody really would probably like to see this kind of thing. So, all right. Refreshed. All right. Jumping into the next one here. All right, next up, again, very obscure promo. This is a P promo from 2002. We have the PSA 10 Pokemon Center Tokyo promo. These are extremely low pop. They're extremely hard to find. And when you do find them, they came in a pack with a coin in them. And like almost always, they will come with a huge coin dent on the back of them. It's just how it works. So you have 019 and then you have 020. This is from Tokyo. The other one I believe is from the New York Pokemon Center release. The other one has Meowth on it. This one has Pikachu. And this is supposed to be like an inside look at the actual Pokemon Center. So this is a really cool card just for that aspect as well. You have, we'll see if we can get some little spoilers. I would assume this is just stock in the background with the cards. You have the Pokeballs up there. I want to say this is like the Neo deck or something like that in the top there. You have all the stuff in the display cases. They're probably like Game Boys and stuff like that. I don't know exactly what's going around. Actually, I do. That's like the Pokemon Center symbol there in the background on the screen. But it looks like you have like some statues, symbols, etc. And then you have Pikachu just kind of standing here like in the lines where they would have checked out. Just a very obscure promo. I mean, it's just kind of weird. They like went, I guess this maybe was exactly, I don't think this is like the actual Pokemon Center, like a photo, no. But it's like a CGI generated type thing, but like they went super crazy with like the ductwork and the lighting and everything, and I don't know, I just think it's crazy, but it makes you wonder, it's like, what's going on back there? Like, what's that poster? Like, what does this box art and the stuff in here actually look like? And like, what is this poster up here? You know, what is this stuff actually showing? I mean, this looks like Meryl up here. That's definitely got to be Meryl. And as weird as it sounds, this one to the right of it looks like almost like Morpeko, but obviously Morpeko wouldn't have existed back then. But I don't know, just super cool, super obscure. So the reason I picked this one out is because This was like a meme for the longest time for me. I was part of the E4 group, Elite Forum, and I still am in there. It just kind of things have kind of changed a lot over the years. But the time, it was super cool. That's like kind of like how I like really got into this whole Japanese thing, really got into collecting, and it just kind of really enhanced and furthered my knowledge. But there were people that, certain people in there that wanted these, that are collecting the P promo set. I assume the person still is. And at the time, they didn't have these in 10, and they were looking for them forever. And I had an opportunity to grab them because I was trying to collect everything at the time. I just wanted to get my hands on whatever I could. And I ended up being able to buy these for like super cheap. And I remember like we kind of have a little friendly banter back and forth on occasion, me and this person. And I remember, and I'll just say it bluntly, rubbing it in his face that I was able to get a hold of this. And I have the other one in my collection as well, PSA 10. It might sound a little malicious, might sound a little dickheaded, to basically say the least, but it was just one of those moments where, like, and it just was a thing that stuck. I would post this card all the time. If you would ever give me sass in chat, I would just post this card, and we would just always, like, it was just a thing for the longest time. I believe now at this point he has them. I think he had raw copies of them at the time to grade, but he lived in Canada and didn't want to send them out. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of them things where it's just kind of a cool memory for me. It's a super weird, like, obscure promo. Basically, if I remember right, yeah, here, I'll just scroll down to the release information, so, excuse me, get it wrong. It says, in Japan, this card was given away with any purchase at the Tokyo Pokemon Center between January 3rd and January 5th, 2002, in commemoration of opening of the New York Pokemon Center. So this one was given away in Tokyo, but it was for the opening of the New York Pokemon Center, which was in the United States, which I never personally got to go to, but I do believe my mom went there when she was in New York a few times, and I don't know if she ever bought me anything. I feel like she would have had to, but for some reason, it isn't something that I'm remembering. Unfortunately, now the New York Pokemon Center is gone. I really hope they do a Pokemon Center in the United States at some point again. I feel like it needs to be done. It would be so insanely popular. Like, I don't know. I can't even describe it. And maybe that's why they don't, because it would just be too much. But they really need to do it again. But you got to think about it, though. This was only given out in Tokyo Pokemon Center January 3rd to January 5th, 2002. And I bet you there was a ton given out, bunch printed. Like, these are definitely cards you can find on occasion. But finding a mint copy like this, like the grade 10, I would say I don't know off the top of my head, but I would assume these are still like sub 20, 30 in PSA 10. At the time, this was probably less than Pop 10. I think I bought this for like $300, which I would buy this all day for $300 again. But it's just one of those cards, like the memory of it, the obscurity of it. It's just a really interesting promo. I love the E-Series border. It's just one of those cards I just, for me, like, had to add to my collection at the time. Has good memories for me, and something that I'll always probably keep in my collection. Unless they become worth $1 billion, which in that case, then maybe I'll sell it. But that's just to buy other cards. Alright. I'm not used to doing this much talking in these videos, and honestly, I haven't got my reps in doing videos last week, so this one's going to be rough on me. Not to mention I was sick this week too, so I'm like battling congestion while we do this. Alright, so next up is, I think this is the only ungraded card in here in this list. This will go in for grading and well, not grading, but authenticity at one point. So this card is probably, I would say, one of the most important cards for me even being here right now and talking to you out of anything that I've shown you or could possibly show you. This is from 2019 when I attended Worlds in Washington, D.C. This is signed by Imakuni. No, this was not drawn by Imakuni. This is Nishida. But this was signed by Imakuni because I had a chance to meet him at the event. And it was because of being in E4 and talking to all these people and, you know, getting involved with all these people that at the time were like way further ahead of me in the hobby. Just light years, and I'm sure some of them are still light years ahead of me. But I attended Worlds in 2019, and at the time, I would say I was kind of like falling off a little bit. I was kind of burnt out from collecting. I was trying to complete all the English sets. It was just like one after another set was coming out. I think Evolutions came out. At that time, it kind of made all the prices and everything else go up because it attracted all this popularity. It was just kind of like one of those frustrating moments, but I had said I was going to go to Worlds. I wanted to go, and honestly, I probably would have bailed on it, but I wanted to go, and I didn't want to go alone, so I was going with one of my friends. The friend, actually, if you watch my video on the PSA return of the English E-Series, it was his Blastoise that I graded. I actually gave it to him the other day. He thought it was super cool, and it was a cool experience. He came over there. It's the first time I've seen him for a while. But he went with me, and he was like, dude, why are you bailing? Like, we really should go to this. Like, this will be cool. And basically, like, that was the only reason that I ended up going. Otherwise, I don't even know if I'd be sitting here talking to you right now, because I don't know if I'd still be in the hobby. Like, I don't know for sure. Like, it was definitely a key determining moment on, you know, what I decided to do going forward. So I went to Worlds in 2019. I met up with all these people that, like, before you're just like, you kind of feel, if you don't have friends that collect, you kind of feel alone. Like, you're just like, oh, like, here I am collecting these cards and I don't have anyone to relate to or whatever. So, like, when I started talking to people in E4, like, even talking to them online, it still doesn't give you, like, a physical feel of, like, you know, hey, like, this is, you know, what people are doing. This is what they're collecting. Like, there's people that really enjoy this stuff just like I do. You know, this isn't just some weird thing. Like, so for me, like, meeting everybody, like, in person, I met a ton of people, bunch of people I still talk to this day. It segued me into all kinds of other things. It was just a very cool event, and it was the last event, and I was fortunate to go. The last event kind of before all this stuff blew up, and Pokemon went insane during COVID. So 2019, I went to Worlds. There was like a meet and greet for E4 members in this really super fancy place we all rented out. I got a Team Rocket deck box. It's like the old school deck boxes, like the cardboard ones where they like come like flat, you fold them up. I have that somewhere. I have my spectator badge. Like, it was a cool time. It was an absolutely fantastic time. Like, I met all kinds of people. Had dinner with people that I still talk to now, like, at the end of the night there before I left. It was one of those things where I wish I had gone for the whole weekend instead of just going on the last day. But overall, it was a fantastic experience. And during the experience, we were fortunate enough, Imakuni was there, that we were able to, this group of people that I was with, able to go and get a signature. And at the time, I didn't have any cards with me. I didn't bring any cards. I didn't know what to expect. I lied. I did bring some cards, but I left the box of graded cards in the car. And at the time, thinking about it now, I mean, DC is not the best area, and we did not park in the best area, so it probably was not the best idea to do that. But it is what it is. It was all good. Nothing happened. But anyway, I didn't have any cards with me. So somebody that I still talk to now had a binder there, and I made a deal that if they would give me one of their cards and these weren't worth a ton of money at the time, so don't get me wrong here. You could get 2 cards signed by Imakuni. I would get another card signed for him, so he'd have 3 if he'd give me a card to be able to get signed. So I gave him like $30 cash, and we decided to do that. And my other buddy then, as a kind gesture, got 2 cards signed from him, which he should have kept one of those. I don't know why he didn't, but it's neither here nor there. But anyway, I got to meet Imakuni. We got to get a photo with him. I still have the photo. I know it's on a bunch of people's Facebook pages, and I know it's floating around places, but it's just one of those moments. It was so surreal. Like, I got thrown into like being so secluded to all of a sudden surrounded by all this Pokemon stuff, and then on top of it, getting like one of the most prolific people, like characters in Pokemon, like Imakuni. Like, everybody most I won't say everybody, but most everybody knows who Imakuni is. And I'm all of a sudden meeting this guy, shaking his hand, and getting a signature from him. It was honestly, it was just insane. It was so cool. Like, it changed my whole perspective on things, that whole day, that whole event. and it just hyped me up, re-energized me. And at that point was when I was still collecting English sets, but I was collecting Japanese graded cards at the time. And it's kind of what like really started transitioning me into making that full move to like collecting all Japanese stuff. But dude, it was just such a cool event, like such a cool time. And like just seeing this, I mean, it has my name on it and everything too. I'm glad I got it in English and not Japanese, but this is before people like wanted signatures or cared. I mean, it's just a cool time, and this is just such a good memory. Like it's been in this thing since what, 2019, so like 4 years now. I haven't sent it in for grading or authenticity just because, I mean, there's really no rush when it's something I'm going to keep forever. If anything, like I said, like there's certain things that are 0 chance they'll go to the grave with me. Like even if I got out of this hobby, this would stay with me. Like this is, I would say, probably one of my most treasured items in my collection for sure, like with personal value. So, yeah. So price paid for this, probably like $30 for the card. I think the autographs were like $30. And then, yeah, I mean, really not much expense here. And value, I mean, to me, priceless. So, but we'll leave that out there because, again, that's, to me, like, I actually have to pull it out of here, too. We got to pull it out of here. We got to look at the... We're going to pull it out of there, too. It needs to be free for a moment to actually see the... It's just cool for me to, like, know that in the moment that I was there and got this signed. I don't know. I don't know how many people are still watching at this point. We're doing a lot of talking. This is a lot of stories and BS. But, hey, man, everybody's been asking for stuff in my personal collection. And if I'm going to show off stuff in my personal collection, then I'm at least going to give kind of the reason and the story behind things. So... yeah, but real fond memories of this one. This one, I mean, you could call it the card that saved me, realistically, because it's what kept me in the hobby. And it's in my favorite Pokemon. I mean, obviously Bulbasaur, obviously Venusaur, but it's of my favorite starter of all time, so cool card. Alright, moving on. So, this was kind of like, we have the 2005 Tropical Tidal Wave here. This was kind of my introduction to Worlds promos, and also like kind of a transitioning point for me. We'll get to that a little bit later on, but we have the 2005 Tropical Tidal Wave here. We'll do a little zoom in on this one. I would say this is easily one of my favorite. I love Worlds promos. I have every single Worlds promo except for the Tropical Breeze, or whatever you want to call it, the E-Series style 2002 P promo. Maybe someday I'll have the 100K I need to get to buy that. We'll see. But for now, I have all the other ones. I'll probably slowly show those off. They're some of my favorite cards in my collection. But for now, we have the 2005. Excuse me. I think I need a drink here before we move on. We're at 42 minutes. I knew this was going to go an hour. I absolutely knew this was going to happen. But it just seemed like more daunting at the time, just getting started. But now we're 43 minutes in. You know, we got like 20, 30 minutes yet. And, you know, we're done. So, not that I'm in a rush to leave you guys, but I would like to get to bed here soon. But, alright. So, we got every card, and you'll see me do this a lot, and this is where I get it from. It's basically paying homage to the World's promos, but I put Psyduck in a lot of my thumbnails, and honestly, probably the majority. And I don't do it because, like, I mean, I like Psyduck. Psyduck's, like, a great Pokemon, but I probably wouldn't say I have any actual just Psyduck cards in my collection. Psyduck's obviously featured in a good amount of my cards, but I don't think I actually have, like, a legitimate just Psyduck in my collection. So that's the reason I put Psyduck in my thumbnails so often. But we got Pikachu surfing here. To me, I think the reason this one sticks out so much, it might sound weird, but it's the Corsola. It's like the pink. The pink with all the other colors going on. It just, for whatever reason, it just stands out to me. Like, I just love this card. And to me, the Tidal Waves are my favorite. I have good memories of the 2010 as well, but I'll save that. The story of that one for another time. Yeah, we'll save that one for another time when I do another one of these videos. Maybe, I don't know if it's going to be next year. We'll see. But, so, 2005, we got a PSA 7 on this one. I picked this up in CGC a little while ago and graded it and it was a CGC 6, I think, and we upgraded to the 7-year mint. So nice little upgrade. I think I paid like $180 or $200 or something for this. So it might have been a little more than that. I'm not going to say that cheap. It might have been a little more expensive than that because I don't want to lie to you. But I think, yeah. I don't remember where I got it from. There might have been PWCC before, like when stuff was still fun on PWCC. But yeah, I think that's when I got it. But anyway, there's a couple tropical tidal waves. There's the 05, 06, and 10. For me, this is my favorite. I would say the 10 is my second favorite, and then the 06 is my third favorite. But in terms of Worlds promos, they definitely are not like, they're up there as like some of my top 3. I love the tidal waves. But this one in particular, like I said, doesn't have any personal connection to me, but this card in general does. So shortly after I got home from Worlds, it was probably like a couple months, somebody I met at Worlds, I don't know if you guys know who Swolepoke is. Some of you guys probably will, some of you probably won't. Super chill dude, met him at Worlds. Like at the time I was super into lifting and weight training and all that stuff, and so is my buddy. So we talked about that a lot. We talked about all that kind of stuff as well as Pokemon, and we kind of hit it off. He followed me on Instagram, I followed him back, and my buddy, and like I still talk to him. I think I have his phone number actually, as weird as it is, but I still talk to him on occasion. I haven't seen him for a while. I haven't had like an in-depth conversation or anything with him, but somebody that I'd sit down, like have dinner with, you know, any day of the week. Super chill dude. But anyway, at the time, he was collecting sealed. I think he was collecting sealed a lot, and a lot of people weren't. And he was buying stuff up, and I mentioned that in my local card shop, there was a first edition booster box of Team Rocket. So at the time, I think they wanted like, I want to say like $2,000 for it, but I called and asked, and they said they'd probably do like $1,700 for it. So he was like, yeah, dude, like for sure, like you go and buy it for me, like, you know, and I didn't really want anything extra, but I was just like, if you just show me something, like just for doing the work and doing the legwork and going to get it, like we'll be, you know, we'll be chill. So he ended up giving me this, a 2005 tidal wave and a 2008 wind, I believe it was. I think it was a wind with one with Shaman. But he had bought them super cheap on Troll and Toad, and I was so jealous about it. So he got value out of that too, just in the fact that he got them cheap to begin with. But we valued him at like $300, and that's basically what we did the deal on. And he sent me the cards, sent me the money. I went and picked up the booster box for him. At the time, I was super nervous. I remember, I think I packed it like way too tight because I had never like held something that expensive before, and just like honestly, that's probably the most expensive sealed thing I still to this day ever held, and obviously now it's worth way more than what like $1,700 or $1,800 is. But first edition Team Rocket booster box, it was cool because it was from my local card shop. They got to buy like, or they got a transaction from somebody locally buying something like that. So for them, it was good. Like it was just super cool. Like it was just a cool all around thing. But anyway, so I got these two promos. They were both raw. I got them graded, and they both came back 9s because they were off-center. And at the time, I was only collecting 10s, and I was so upset. And I remember selling them and just, like, so much regret. And it was a moment that I really realized, like, I was like, why am I collecting, like, just 10s? Like what? It took a little while after that to really, like, embrace that. But it's like, I'd started only collecting PSA 10s, and at the time, it was much more affordable to do so. So I was like, why am I selling these cards that I really like just because they're not the grade that I want? So I sold those. At the time, I made some money off of, like, what the valuation was. But it was just one of those moments that you really, like, think about what you're doing, and you're like, what am I, like, why am I doing this to myself? Like, why am I selling this? Why am I getting rid of this just because it's not the grade I want? So that's something that everybody, I think, has to come to the conclusion at some point. If you don't start that way, you can't have everything in PSA 10, and even if you do, you don't need to have everything in PSA 10, because if you really like the card, the grade doesn't matter. It's the card that matters, you know? It's this, not this, this. So, but yeah, so it was just a cool experience. I picked this one just because I have that memory of that transaction. I still remember going to Walmart, getting the bubble wrap and like packaging it up and like it honestly, again, like, I packed the thing so super tight. It was probably too tight, but he said it was okay, like, it was chill, like, it wasn't an issue, like, didn't do any damage to it or anything, but I was just so nervous that it was going to show up damaged. Not only that, but you have this super expensive box going through the mail, and this guy just paid me, you know, the cash up front to buy it for him, and I don't know, just a nerve-wracking transaction for somebody who, at the time, hadn't really done that kind of transaction often in the hobby. So, yeah, that's the story behind this one for me. Guys, give me a brief pause here. I'm going to get up. I need to blow my nose. Some of you are going to hear it. I'm sorry, but I cannot go the last 20 minutes without blowing my nose here. We're going to have problems. And I don't do any editing as of yet, so you're going to hear it. And you're going to like it, or you're going to dislike it and click off the video. Ah, sweet relief. Ah, so much better. Oh, I'm so happy now. I'm honestly in a better mood now that I did that. So just know that you hearing that put me in a better mood. Oh, sweet relief. I talked like 30 minutes like that, and I finally got to the point where I was like, this is bothering me too much. Squeezing my chair. All right. So back to the story time. So we got 3 cards left. We're 50 minutes in. We're not going to go too long on the next few, but we'll see. Next up, we had a pretty boring card, to be completely honest with you. We got a nice swirl on this one. We got the PSA 9 Special Delivery Pikachu. And a lot of you are going to be asking, well, first of all, it's an English card. Second of all, it's not super rare. What could this possibly mean to you? Well, this card was given out in 2020 as part of the Canadian Pokemon Center being opened up. And at the time, I mean, it still is. It's an English exclusive. English hadn't done this in forever, where they did an exclusive release. And at the time, you could spend $20 and you could get one. So this was before everybody was scalping these, you know, doing all kinds of scalper stuff, whatever. I would say it was right before it. 2019 going into 2020 here was probably the beginning. Because I think with what happened with this card is what triggered everything going forward. But I think I bought, I don't know, I probably put like 15, 20 orders in. And it was so cool too because it was Christmas time and they gave you a ornament too. So not only did you get the Special Delivery Pikachu, but you got the Christmas ornament as well, which I have one on my Christmas tree right now, as it is Christmas. It was so cool because at the time, again, like they had never done this before. You got this super cool promo that was exclusive, English only, which, again, they hadn't done for a while. You got the ornament. It was the beginning of all this craziness and this hype before, like, things just absolutely exploded. It was the beginning of COVID, realistically, because, like, was it 2019, the end of 2019, going into 2020, I believe it was. It was just such a strange, weird, crazy, exciting, scary, insane time. Like, there's just so many emotions to describe it. Like, I couldn't describe everything fully. So for me, when I look at this card, it just has a moment in time locked into it. This is one of the copies that I got from my collection, or that I got from the purchases. I still have all the other ones, as crazy as that sounds. I never got graded. They need to be sent in. If I grade a 10, I will keep that one instead of this one, just for the simple fact that, I mean, they were all mine from that moment, so none different than the other one. But another thing, too, that I was doing, since I would get these free ornaments, I thought about selling them and recouping some of the money, and then I'm like, no, like, it doesn't feel right. Like, I think what I'm going to do, like, is give these out to some people. So I gave them out to, like, a bunch of my friends that I knew would appreciate them because they collect. One of my best friends, I gave them out to some of my other friends. I can't remember who all I gave out to, but one in specific, one random one. I remember it was right before Christmas. My DHL driver showed up. And at the time, when I was getting a bunch of stuff from Japan, I was buying stuff from Japan before all this stuff took off. So that's why I've done so well with a lot of this stuff, is because I was buying everything when it was so cheap. But he would deliver, I mean, he'd be there like once, twice a week, and it would usually always be the same guy. So, like, we would always talk, like, the dude was a gamer, like, he played, at the time he was playing Call of Duty, which a lot of people were. I can't play that game anymore, but it's neither here nor there. But he was like, yeah, I do some streaming, blah, blah, blah. So I watched a couple of his streams and stuff like that. Like, he followed me on Facebook and stuff out of this. But I'd given him one of the ornaments. I was like, hey, like, Merry Christmas, man. Like, here you go. You know, I see you all the time. Like, I feel like, you know, you're into this kind of stuff. So, like, it just seems like fitting. So I gave him this. He was probably like 3 or 4 months after, ended up getting a job somewhere else. I think it was closer to, like, New York. I'm personally from Pennsylvania. And he ended up moving away. I think it was New York. I can't remember exactly. But he moved away for a time. He was there. Didn't like it. But in the meantime, it was probably like 2-3 years that he was gone. In the meantime, like, he had a kid. I had a kid. Just so many things had changed. COVID had come and, like, I guess gone at this point. I don't know what it is. But again, that's neither here nor there either. We won't go into that. But it was just like one of those things where it was just such a time period, a big change in my life with a whole bunch of things going on. And this was this summer, 2023. I was out mowing my grass, and a DHL truck was driving by, and it stopped and pulled in the driveway. And here it was this guy. He had moved back, and he recognized the house and saw me out mowing, so he stopped in. And it was just like, it was just cool. Like, we talked for like 5-10 minutes. Kind of caught up and what's going on and stuff like that. But I don't use DHL too much anymore, so I don't really see him. But I'm sure the next time I use DHL, if he's in this area, I will see him. But it was just kind of a cool vibe. Like, this card, it just has a moment of time for me locked in. You know, between COVID, the release of this card just in general, this bond between me and this which I have a connection with all of my delivery drivers at this point, because most of them I see on a daily basis. You know, my FedEx guy is the one that drops off my PSA returns. He knows me. I talk to him all the time. You know, when he shows up, we talk about my dog, joke about, I'm like, hey, when are you taking him with? Because he always barks when he shows up. Obviously, that DHL driver I know. When I go into the post office, you know, I know all those women when I go in. You know, they're always nice to me. I always try to do my best for them because, again, they're handling all this stuff. They're taking care of me, whether it's their job or not. It's just one of those things when you deal with people that are a part of your business. You know, they're maybe not directly connected, but connected to you based on their jobs and the service they offer, or their employment offers. They just become a part of everything. So, and it's fitting that it's special delivery Pikachu. So there's just so much connection in this card. And again, I mean, some of you might be like, it's stupid, it's lame. But for me, like, that's just part of the reason this is in my collection. So, all right. I rambled on that one for a while. On the home stretch. All right. So next up, we have a pretty cheap card here. We have Tropical Wind from the Tropical Mega Battle event. It is only a PSA 4. And price on this one, basically free because I got $20 in merch. And at the time, they had some awesome Christmas merch, which I still have. I'm honestly kind of sad because I feel like it's been kind of weak the last couple of years when they've done the merch. So it was cool. Like, I got to load up on all this Christmas merch. I got these free promos. I got the ornaments. And yeah, but again, not that their Christmas merch is bad. I just feel like there was a couple things that came out this year that I wish they would do, like things like of that obscurity. Like, I have a Poncho Pikachu, like Delibird Christmas ornament, like a big ball. And like, I usually use that as my Christmas topper. But all right, we're going on our tangent there. Let's get back to the Tropical Mega Battle, Tropical Wind here. So this card for me, this is kind of like a turning point of, you know, hey, like, I am now fully comfortable with collecting. I'm not worried about values. As a business owner, like, I've come to the point where I'm doing well enough that I can afford this kind of thing. I'm not afraid to make a purchase like this, and this is a card that I've always wanted, and I'm not afraid to go out and get it just because maybe somebody else says, hey, like, you know, why are you wasting money on cardboard? Because realistically, we're all wasting money on something if it's not required for us to live. this is my choice, which I have a lot of other choices of stuff too, but this is my main choice. So a little bit about this card, if you don't know anything about it. This is from 1999. This is the original Tropical Wind. This was awarded to the 500, I think it was 576. Well, I guess I have it right here. I can look. Yeah, 576 participants in the Tropical Mega Battle Tournament in 1999. And then there were a further 10 copies that were awarded through a lottery system as a part of the Trainers magazine. There is something on this, as I leave a fingerprint on this one. There. You see this right here? So there's an envelope ding on this one. And there's one of my buddies told me that he believes, he thinks, and you see it there too. So these weren't awarded in an envelope apparently at the event. And he believes that he thinks this is one of the copies from that Trainers magazine because it has the indents then from this thing that when it would have been mailed out to one of the winners. So if that's the case, this is one of 10 copies that was awarded through the magazine promo, the magazine thing, which again, I don't think there's any way to ever know for sure, but it's cool to think that maybe this is one of those 10 and it kind of makes it a little bit more special for me. But I mean, this is pretty good. I mean, it's not like these are like, oh, like it's just random dents. Like, no, like if you ever seen envelope dents in old back cards, because if you look at the Masaki promos, this is the notorious Masaki marks. That is, I mean, they're smaller because the tabs would have been smaller, but that's exactly what it looks like. And it's not on these other corners, I don't believe. I don't think it came in all four. And not that this is in great condition to begin with, but it's just cool to think that maybe that's what this card was released by. So it gives it a little more added flair to me as well. So I bought this from Pokemon Steven. I believe I paid, I think at the time I bought it for $7,000. And at the time, that wasn't a bad price. He probably gave me more of a friend discount because he probably could have sold it for a little more. Now, is it worth $7,000? I really doubt that I could get $7,000 for this in a PSA 4. Maybe if I could prove my case about the indents here, it being a copy from the magazine, lottery thing, maybe that makes it worth more if I could convince people that. But at the end of the day, this doesn't matter to me. And I say this to people a lot. Don't intentionally go out and overpay for stuff, but when there's a moment when you have a chance to buy something, if you have to overpay for it, if it's something you're never going to get rid of, don't worry about what everyone else says. Go buy it. If it's part of your collection, go buy it, enjoy it, put it in your collection, get it out just like this very moment. Appreciate it, remember the moment, and, don't worry about what you paid for it. Like, yeah, sure, if I'd have paid $7,000 for this and was worth like $100, I might be a little salty just because I could go out and buy it at any moment for that. But it's not worth $100. It's probably worth $4, $5, $6,000, somewhere around there yet. It's a card that I thought I would never own. And again, I said in the beginning that this was a card that was like a turning point for me where I feel like I was completely comfortable in collecting. I knew this was something that I truly loved. I was in a decent position financially, and, it was just one of them things where it was cool to purchase it from somebody I know, too, but it's just a card that I thought I would never own, and to be able to buy it and just be in a position like that, and then on top of that, again, just be comfortable with it, not buying it because, it's just a cool card that everybody liked, or it's worth money, but actually, like, I truly love this card. Yeah, it's just an all-around cool experience for me, and you can see those dents. See, look, I'm trying to sell this already so I can sell this for a super high premium someday. Which, actually, I'm not going to lie. If this would be like something that, down the line where this was worth an absorbent amount of money compared to the other one, I would absolutely sell this one, buy that one, and then buy something else for the collection. It doesn't mean that much to me that it has the dents. Like, that's cool and all, but if I can have the same exact card and use the original to get there and then get something on top of it, I absolutely would. So I'm not that high and mighty about the indents. But anyway, we digress from the original topic. Again, pivotal moment for me, just kind of like felt comfortable buying this kind of dollar amount worth of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it just was I would say a peak moment for me as far as like where I'm at financially and like in my collection. And obviously this is like a huge achievement for me to add this to my collection. Again, grade doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. I mean, again, 576 participants. Do I think there's more of these floating around than that? Yes, I do. But is it more than 1,000? Probably not. So it's not like it's like some super easy to get card. And again, I mean, fantastic artwork by Sumiyoshi Kazuki. You got Jigglypuff. Just everything about this card. This is one that I had wanted for a long time. And I remember when I first got this in the mail and just sitting there staring at it for I don't know how long. And then I sent it in for grading, and I was super nervous about it just because it's something like now I don't get super nervous about sending stuff off just because I'm so used to it. But yeah, just a really cool moment for me, and it's cool to look back and sit here and look at it. So glad you guys could look at it with me. All right, we're at 1 hour and 5 minutes. And again, I said at the beginning of the video I knew this was going to happen, so I'm not surprised. But we're almost done. If you're here, thank you. Thank you for watching. I don't expect you to be here listening to me ramble yet. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of fast forwarding when I get on my tangents, but it is what it is. Last one is not really, I wouldn't say special in any sort of actual way. It's not special. I can't say it's not special at all, but it's not really special in release all that much. It is a little more of an obscure release. It's not really, it is rare. It's a rare promo from this era. It's not, it's a little low pop, but it's nothing like, it's not like, oh my God, like, it's not like you're going to see this card, most of you, and know what this is. For me, like, this is like kind of the final stage, the final evolution for me in collecting. This is just literally like seeing something and collecting what I love. So I think I actually graded this. I might have thrown it off to the side on camera when I got it back in a submission, but there's no real rhyme or reason why I really like this card, but I personally just love this card. Pichu's not one of my super favorite Pokemon, although I do like Pichu. This era doesn't have any special meaning to me. I think this is like the perfect example of a card that it doesn't have to have significance behind it or the release or anything about it for you to like it. You know, you can like it just because you personally like it, and it really just doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. For me, that's like one of these cards. Like, it's kind of a little niche, like it's a little obscure, it's a little rare, it's a little different, it's not necessarily desirable, but it's not desirable, it's low pop. And for whatever reason, like this Pichu artwork, like, I don't know, like, it just has this like hand blot painted background look. The Pichu blinking, it's the spiky-eared version from the movie. The stamp, I don't know what it is about this, but everything, this ticks all my boxes in my head, that it's a definition that I couldn't give you off the top of my head other than the things I said just now. But like, there's certain vibes this gives me when I look at it, that's why I want to keep it when I looked at it. And I bought a bunch of these in hopes of grading a 10 to keep one. Unfortunately, I graded like 2 10s, I graded 9, I still have some copies. I think I sold a 10 of this for like 800. I sold my extra copy. So value-wise, I don't know. I probably paid 40, 50 bucks for a raw copy, 15, 20 bucks to grade. So we had some decent profit on the 10 I sold for sure. But I graded a 9, graded 2 10s. And again, I just got it back. And I say that a lot in some of my return videos, where there's just moments where I look at a card and I think, man, like, I just kind of want to keep this. I don't know what it is about it. You know, I probably saw it go out in grading. I probably looked up, like, you know, when I was putting the information in for PSA, like, oh, like, this is the release for this. Like, maybe I even went on a tangent and actually looked up the whole release and to get more information. But there's just certain things that stand out to me, and I just want to keep it. And I don't care if it's not something everyone else collects. I don't care if it's worth a ton of money or not. I like it. I want it for my collection, and I really don't care if anyone likes the card or not. I just put it in my collection. So what I'm saying to you is, if you like a card, it doesn't matter if it's a trainer card, it doesn't matter if it's a potion card, it Doesn't matter if it's a card that, you know, your friend just said, oh, that's a shit artwork or something like that. It doesn't matter. If you like it and you want it to be in your collection, slap it in the binder, get a graded copy, put it on display, enjoy it, and don't really care what everyone else thinks. Not that there were people hating on this. Don't make it sound, I'm not trying to make it sound like that. But for me, like, when I look at this card, like, this is me, if that makes any sense. This is my idea of, like, what I like to add to my collection, and, you know, on the whim, you know, no other strings attached, something that I would see in a case if I never saw before, and I'd be like, I'd point that, like, yeah, that's so cool, I want that. So, a little bit of information about this, just because I didn't really do that. So, if you've ever seen, first off, you have Spiky or Peachy showed up, where you have the movie commemoration promos from the packs. Those aren't super rare, but they are decently desirable. They have a pretty cool holofoil. I've showed off some of those in some of my returns before. I've definitely gotten some of those back, some of the Arceus from those as well. Then you had this one. So let me look up the exact release of this just to make sure I get this right, because this is one of those, like, super confusing ones, because it's like there's all kinds of different stuff. So again, you had the movie commemoration pack, which would have came in their own little booster pack type thing, and a blister pack. Japan, the 3 prints were released as part of the movie commemoration random pack. That's what I was talking about there, with illustrations done by a manga artist. These illustrations were also used as part of the Pokemon card design contest, in which several Shogakukan magazines fans were provided a blank outline of the Pokemon and invited to design the most interesting illustration. The submission periods varied across the... Wow, why are you saying page unresponsive? Get out of here. The submission periods varied across the publications, the earliest beginning on February 28, 2009, the latest ending on April 24th, 2009. The winning illustrations were released as promotional cards in July 2009, with at least one complete set given to the overall winners. Another reprint was released as a DPTP discard promotional card with new commissioned artwork by a famous illustrator, Gosho Aoyama, known for the Detective Conan series. Didn't actually know that last bit of information. But you have your super rare ones, which were the middle ones that they were discussing. So these people, they would send them in, and I'll pan up to the screen. We're going to be done here in a minute anyway, so we're taking you out of the little chalk here. Oh man, I lost you there, and I only realized after I talked for probably another five minutes. So that's good. And if you're seeing this, that means I actually had to do a little bit of very minor editing to put these two pieces together, which at the time of recording this, I don't even know how to do that. I'm not looking forward to that. Pretty irritated with that, actually, because, yeah, now I have to do something extra when I get off of here before I upload this, so. It is what it is, man. But you're going to go on a ride, is what I think I originally said to you. So this time it didn't click off when I did that. So we got to go back because I went into a different thing. All right, so originally these are the 3 prints from the movie commemoration bag. You got your nighttime one, which is usually the most popular one, jumping, and then you got the little bubble one. You got the one that I was talking about, again, by I guess they commissioned artwork by Gosho Aoyama for that. I don't know, that just seems super random to me for them to do something like that. I feel like there's got to be more behind that than what they're saying there. But again, another cool reason that I have that in my collection. And then you had these super expensive, super rare ones. You have your kindergarten winner one, first grade winner. They would have been given a template, and they would have had to do, as the art you can see around them right now. Second grade winner, Televikun winner, which I would assume is probably like some television series thing where they had a chance to send in, all part of the promotion. Puchigumi winner, I don't know what Puchigumi is, but I'd assume something big in Japan at the time. Is that an anime or something? I don't know. And then you have the Pokemon Fan Club winner. This one I actually had a chance to buy at one point. I could have bought for like $800, $900. I remember it coming up for sale on eBay. At the time, I was big on the newly listed refresh thing, seeing what would come in PSA grade. And I remember like not knowing exactly what it was because I didn't know much about these at the time, but like thinking, man, should I buy this? Like, And I kind of decided I was finally going to buy it, and I added it to the cart, and as soon as I went to go check out, it was gone. I mean, it was listed for like 5 minutes max. It was probably less than that. It was probably 3 minutes max. But didn't get to do that. It would have been worth a lot of money had I done that. I'm not a big fan of this one, but I could have easily traded it for maybe for another copy of one of them or something at some point. So a little sad face on that, but it is what it is. But yeah, so you had all these artists, illustration artists, and they would have done this stuff. It's the same as like the Zoroa release and the Zoroark, and then the Arceus release where they had like illustration winners as well. If you haven't seen those, check those out. But yeah, just really cool release behind this, which again, there's some information on this one I didn't actually know, but glad to have this one in my collection. Super cool card. And again, this is just one of those things where I look at it and I wanted to add to my collection. And again, like I said to you, if you want something in your collection, don't care what anyone thinks, and just add it. So, oh man, definitely sad I got to add this clip together. Hopefully it won't take me long to figure out, but I'm sure it will. I don't think I can do it on my phone either, so maybe you won't see this. I don't know. But anyway, that about does it, guys. That's a little trip through some of my collection. I know some of you guys have been wanting this for a while. Maybe you guys just wanted to see a flash shuffle through my collection. I don't feel like that. I mean, I can shuffle through a PSA order for you any time of the day to show you cards if that's how you want to see them. But this is kind of like, again, this is why these are part of my collection and pieces that are involved in it. So yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully this is what some of you wanted. Maybe it wasn't what some of you other yous wanted. Or I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. It's 3 in the morning. But either way, this is what you got. So deal with it. Again, it's Christmas here. So I celebrate Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. If you celebrate something else, happy holidays. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, comment down below, or don't. But either way, I'll catch you the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for watching.